Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Kultgen, and today, Friday, August 1st, 2025, Glamour has just released a giant article that is an interview with Golden Bachelor Mel Owens. This is 100% spin control. This is the franchise forcing him to go do this interview. I'm sure he's been completely coached on everything to say, every answer to give to every question, and this is very reminiscent to me of when Claire Freeland and Bennett Graebner, the two former disgraced executive producers of the Bachelor franchise, were sent out to the LA Times to give an interview right before Jen Tran's season started airing, assuring everybody that they had the leads backs and everything was going to be fine. We know what happened after that interview. Absolute disaster. I would say the moment that Jen Tran was forced to say on television at her after the final rose, do I have a choice, when Jesse Palmer asked her if she wanted to watch the footage of her re-proposing to then ring winner Devin Strader. That moment, I think, broke the franchise, and now it seems like they're repeating the exact same steps to try and assure all of us everything is fine. So what I wanted to do right now is go through this entire article. I'm going to read it word for word. Join along with me, and let's see if we can get anything out of this or if this is believable at all. We all know also that we should put some context on this. Mel Owens went on a podcast in early June called Go Blue. It's a Michigan sports podcast. He, of course, was a football player there before becoming a pro football player in the NFL. He went on that podcast and said that he would, in quotes, cut any player who was over the age of 60, and that he did not want to see anybody with wigs or hip replacements. This is pretty antithetical to the entire idea of what the Golden franchise is. People were outraged. The network, the studio, perhaps the producers who made the final decision to keep him as Bachelor, I think thought that the audience at large, us, the fourth audience, wouldn't care about these things or wouldn't know about these statements. But we do, and this at least is acknowledgement that they know that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mel Owens delivering some kind of an apology to the players on night one. I would guess probably in his inauguration speech, when the Bachelor comes in after all the players have been met from their limo entrances, and he comes in and gives a little speech. I would guess that's where they're going to make him do the apology. But they're also making him do this: have a giant interview with Glamour Magazine. Again, it's a little bit long. We're going to read through it all. Here we go. The Golden Bachelor's Mel Owens knows Bachelor Nation is angry. Quote, I deserved it. Uh-oh. In an exclusive interview with Glamour, the 66-year-old opens up about the backlash to his ageist and sexist comments on a recent podcast. Quote, it was unfair and insensitive, and I have to earn the trust back. This is by Jessica Radloff, came out today. The Golden Bachelor's newest leading man, former NFL player turned lawyer Mel Owens, had a bit of an uphill battle from the start, a complete unknown to Bachelor Nation. He didn't come in with a following or even a connection to the franchise. First introduced to the press in April, the handsome divorcee and father of two seemed like a fine choice, if uninspired. Damn. So that first paragraph, Jessica, she's coming for him. Given that this was going to be ABC and Warner Brothers' sophomore season of The Golden Bachelor, Owens and the franchise spinoff was never going to puncture the zeitgeist quite like then 71-year-old Gary Turner did when he was first announced as ABC's leading man in the summer of 2023. But fresh blood in the franchise is always a good thing, and given the Golden Bachelor's real winner that inaugural season, that would be the women, things seem to be off to a good start. That is a correct assessment, I think. The Golden franchise is not really actually about finding love. It's about the player pool coming together and finding lifelong friendships. Even Golden Bachelorette was like that. I never hear anything about Joan Vassos and Chalk Chapel, but we see, obviously, all over Bachelor in Paradise, it's a bunch of the guys from her season, a bunch of the women from Gary Turner's season. They're the real stars. Oh, things seem to be off to a good start. I forgot this line. Until they weren't. On June 26th, news broke that Owens had appeared on the In the Trenches, a sports podcast from his alma mater, the University of Michigan, where the 66-year-old said that he preferred to date women between the ages of 45 and 60. He also said that he would, quote, cut women if they're over 60. That wasn't bad enough. If that wasn't bad enough, Owens also told host John Jansen that he told producers to, quote, try to stay away from artificial hips and the wigs, that kind of stuff. The repercussions were immediate, and rightfully so, with fans saying they would no longer watch the upcoming season and calling for Owens' exit. Then in early July, podcast host and blogger Steve Carbone, also known as Reality Steve, reported that Owens was out as the Golden Bachelor due to recent negative publicity surrounding his June 4th podcast. We went on Reality Steve's show right around that time, and I remember saying on his show, like, I don't think they're getting rid of him. And indeed, they didn't. The rumor mill went wild with fans celebrating the report and applauding ABC for making the right decision. The only problem, it wasn't true. Well, ABC and Warner Brothers never made an official comment. Sources told Glamour at the time that Owens was still the Golden Bachelor and that production would start later in July. Indeed, as of August 1st, Owens is a couple weeks into filming. The 2-hour premiere of The Golden Bachelor is confirmed for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Owens is indeed filming. That much I can assure you. Until now, Owens and the team behind The Golden Bachelor have remained silent on all the fallout from that June 4th podcast appearance, but in the middle of July, Glamour received word that once filming began, after Owens had the chance to address the women on his season first, he wanted to talk publicly about what happened in the Treasures podcast. He wanted to talk publicly. He didn't want to do any of this. This is 100% the network saying you must issue a public apology, at least so it's on record. Which is how, on a Wednesday afternoon in Los Angeles, Owens meets me over coffee. He's dressed casually, planning to hit the gym after. He didn't go to bed until 7 a.m. because the latest rose ceremony had gone until nearly 4 that morning. With only a few hours sleep, Owens is clearly running on adrenaline as he tells me he's having the time of his life on this new journey. Okay. Sorry. You got to jump right in, right? He says. No holding back. When I comment that it must be awkward with cameras documenting his nearly every move, he replies, well, you're just being natural as much as you can, and sometimes you forget that it's there. I find that very hard to believe. Tune into our recaps of this season of Golden Bachelor, especially a certain one, which I can't say anything about yet, but I'm going to have some very interesting information, at least about one of the dates this season. He says he's learning to be more vulnerable too, especially with the women who have been through so much on their journey to find love again. I've gone through a divorce, but I'm lucky enough not to have a lot of tragedies, he says, before elaborating that the women on his season have such poignant and heartfelt stories. It's life. Let's get vulnerable. And that brings us to the podcast, the comments, and the fallout. Owens is not defensive. Even if his explanations are rather clunky at times, he's not calculated. Okay. And he seems to genuinely want people to know he'll do better. But he says that at first. He wasn't even aware there was an issue with his comments. That's part of the problem right there. Though he says he's committed to coming out of this experience a changed man. This is all 100%. Look, he may actually be feeling these things. I don't know. We're going to get into this interview in a moment. But the entire point of the Bachelor franchise calling up Glamour and saying we want to do an interview with Mel Owens is they have trained him on exactly what to say. Then they send him in to get everything in print. Still, getting Bachelor Nation back on board for his season is a big ask, and Owens knows it. So now, in his first interview, he's ready to be as transparent as he can. Glamour says, let's go back to the podcast in June. Did you have any inkling that people might be upset about your comments as soon as you said them? At the moment, no, but obviously a day or whatever later, people listen to it. And my friend called me from Michigan. She's 65, and I went to school with her, and she's an attorney and a hot shot for the Big Ten and administration. I didn't know she's also a big fan of The Bachelor. She said to me, Mel, no, what are you doing? She goes, I'm reading all about it. I didn't know that it hit that hard. She goes, you've got to right the wrong. So I listened to her. That's how I found out, basically. Okay, but if he's saying that happened in June, when did he right the wrong? Now, August, 2 months later? Did she explain to you why it was wrong? She said, what you said was insensitive, and it's not just who you are. My reference of dating was 39, 40-year-olds. I hadn't dated in 26, 27 years. That's what I told her. She goes, it doesn't matter. You've said some things that are just incredibly wrong. And I go, I've got to apologize. Yeah, no shit, duder. Did it make sense when she was telling you this? Yeah, of course. I'm getting this feedback from a great friend of mine who's 65, and she's a woman. She goes, come on, that's insensitive. I told her, I said it because of my frame of reference, which I now know was incorrect. He's blaming this on his frame of reference, that the last time he dated, he was dating a 40-year-old, or what did he say, 39, 40s? This explanation is completely wrong. And at this point, in my opinion, for this apology, this is pointless, in my opinion. Whatever's in this article is completely irrelevant. I don't think anybody's going to believe it. But to try and twist in, to crowbar in this thing, well, look, I mean, I was thinking 20 years ago when I was dating a 40-year-old. It's not working for me. What was some of the other feedback that you heard? Did you start looking up what was being said about you online? I didn't. I did not, because I'm on TikTok because my boys send me stuff, and I'm on ESPN and whatever's on Apple News. So you had no idea. No, she told me, and she started naming the publications like TMZ and E and all of those. And she says, don't even go on. There's a lot of pushback and blowback. So I don't go on. I had never been on any dating apps either, so I'm not on the internet for those kinds of things. The producers are immediately telling him about this. They are immediately in damage control, trying to figure out how are they going to spin this? Do they have to recast him, et cetera, et cetera. Clearly, once that decision was made to not recast him, I'm sure they told him about this. I'm sure they even started floating the idea, you're going to have to apologize on camera. So let me ask you this. It's totally fair to have an age range that you feel comfortable with for dating, but why did you decide to go on a show called The Golden Bachelor if you didn't want to date women who are over 60? Correct. Because I didn't know anything about the Golden Bachelor ages? I didn't? This is absurd. At this point, when you're cast as the Golden Bachelor, the producers tell you exactly what's going on. They have probably even made him watch old clips from the first season. This is insane. This seems like a complete lie to me. Maybe it's not. That's what it seems like to me. I had watched the first show when I was younger, when it first launched or something in 2002, March 25th, 2002, until my son was born. But when he was born, I didn't watch it anymore. So when these people talk about, hey, this season and that season, I didn't know the age range because I wasn't watching it. I'm thinking, to me, the age range was 45 to 60. That's my age range. I'm thinking that's not his age range. He's 66. My reference, again, was when I was dating at 39, 40. I hadn't dated in 26 years. So in his head, he's 40 years old. So I had no clue. And that's why I said that comment. I didn't know. I didn't know. And I didn't know that Gary got married and then divorced. I didn't know any of it. Trying to throw Golden God Gary Turner under the bus there a little bit. Hey, I'm not the only bad Golden Bachelor. Gary got divorced. Don't forget about that. Did you want to, when ABC started approaching you, did you want to find out more about the show? Oh, I found out thereafter. But because remember, when I was going through the interview process or whatever, I'm watching the last season with Grant Ellis. That's when I picked up again, watching a little bit. I only watched 2 or 3 episodes, but I didn't know the age range because I hadn't watched it. But like, he doesn't Google it. The producers don't talk to this idea that he's like in his head a 40-year-old man still back in that dating pool, and that's how he's talking about things, and he doesn't know anything about the Golden Bachelor. It's absurd, quite frankly. Like, I just don't find this believable at all. I want to ask you about your comments about staying away from artificial hips and wigs. You're an athlete. Have you ever had any? I've got 2 artificial hips. Are you kidding me? You do? Oh, I don't. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Good joke. Good joke, dude. Listen, look at Bo Jackson, who had hip replacement surgery during his playing career. Anyone can have it at any age. Bo Jackson, for those who don't know, was a phenomenal athlete who played baseball for the Kansas City Royals, football for the, at the time, Oakland Raiders, I believe, or were they the LA Raiders for the Raiders, and then came back after a brutal an injury that destroyed his hip because he was running too fast, essentially. And then he came back and played a little bit for the Chicago White Sox. But one of the only players in history to play both professional baseball and football simultaneously back in the 80s and early 90s. Anyone can have it at any age. Oh, yeah, my best friend has 2 hips and a knee, and his wife has a knee, but it was all part of the reference of age when I made the comment. So you don't care if somebody has a knee replacement? No, no, no. Because usually having a knee or hip replacement helps improve the quality of life. My dad now has 2 hip replacement, and yes, it's 100% true. He can walk again because of it. People run marathons. I'm an attorney. I represent athletes with injuries, and most of them are football, hockey, and a lot of them have artificial, so I know that people have them. What do you say to those who are upset about your comments because viewers who watch The Golden Bachelor or Bachelorette love that the show is so heartfelt and celebrates the fact that it's a gift to get older and that it shouldn't stop you from doing anything? He says, I'm a perfect example. So what would you say to viewers who are so hurt and taken aback by the comments that you would cut women over 60 and you didn't want to deal with anybody that had artificial hips or wigs? I apologize to the women on the show. I mean, come on. When I first walked in, I addressed it. I apologized to them. I said, so he's even saying when he first walked in, I bet that is during his inauguration speech. I apologized to them. I said, it was unfair, insensitive. I want to earn it back. Just give me the chance. And hopefully these last 2 weeks, I earned some of that back. God, I just don't know if it, I don't know. This season's going to be a disaster. I think from the beginning, I think we all know that. I don't know that this thing is making it worse per se, but there's just a taste to this interview that is like, ugh. It's like clearly he's been coached, trained to say all this stuff. Whether he means it or not, who knows. Have a lot of the women talk to you individually about your comments? Yeah, during our one-on-ones. 12 or 15 of them said, we appreciate the apology and it means a lot to us. And they also had a roast. One of the dates was a roast. It was brutal. They were killing me. But also it's like, you have to put yourself in the mind of one of these players. It's a massive opportunity to get to come on a show like this. Some of the players from the first season got to do an official Bachelor Nation podcast. They're on Paradise now. Like, coming into this franchise, even though it's in its final phases, I think its last days, still, it's a big enough audience that it can like launch an influencer career, or at least open some doors to do some really interesting things. So I think they're all, acutely aware of that. Of course, they have to like play nice and be like, okay, we'll give you a chance. Thanks for the apology. What did they say in the roast? I can't remember all of them, but one said, oh, when Mel was walking with me, he was using me as a cane, and I'm from Detroit, right? One said, like a Detroit pizza, he's doughy, squishy, square, and crusty. It was good because I earned that, and I took it, and I deserved it, and it landed squarely on me. They were throwing haymakers. It was good. So them joking about how he's like a Detroit pizza is like, okay, all's good, all's fair. How has it changed your perspective then on aging by meeting any of these women and dating them so far? I'm absolutely shocked at the women. How so? Of how active they are. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. It's shocking how brilliant they are. There's a lot of detail in that answer, Mel. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. It's shocking how brilliant they are. Really? I wouldn't be surprised. Women have always been brilliant. But no, I'm talking about collectively. I have a sister. And I'm at the court, and there's tons of lawyers there, of course, but the things they do, like one was a bomb squad person, and there's a couple of dentists, a doctor, a motocross racer, a flight attendant for 40 years. You have all these varied professions, and they're not 40, they're 60, 65, maybe 70. And they go, oh, I'm still working, I'm still writing, I have my practice. So there it is. It's right in front of you. God. You mentioned you had a sister. What did your sister say when she read some of the comments? She lives on a farm. She didn't know I was on because she has a farm to attend to. Matter of fact, she's 40 miles away from where the first Golden Bachelor, Gary Turner, lived. Huh? His sister didn't know he was the Golden Bachelor? Did he not tell her? So she has no clue. But I have to get pictures from when we were kids to show in the opening of the show. So I told her, so I'm going to go on The Bachelor. And she said, that's great, that's great. Now she knows about The Bachelor, but not the whole intricacies. Let's talk about the rumors that you were being replaced. Did you know about that? My friend who I went to school with told me. She was my conduit to that world. Did you think the rumors were true when your friend told you? Did you think it could happen? No. When people said to me, hey, are you getting replaced? I go, not that I know of. And I wasn't, again, actively searching frenetically, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Would you have been upset if you had lost out on this opportunity because of the comments? Yeah, looking back on it, and looking forward, it's a great experience. It's such a great experience for me. So yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to be recast, but I'm going to earn it back. How are you going to earn it back? Just by being myself and being fair and apologetic and honest. How are you going to earn it back? Just by being me. You know, I'm known for earning things back. This is a train wreck, in my opinion. How have you changed as a person just in the last few weeks now that filming has started? I think once I reemerge, because right now I'm in it. I was telling one of the producers, I just can't wait to tell my friends what impact this had on me. I know it's going to be huge. In what ways, I don't know yet. I just know from my experience because I've done some interesting things and I know those impact me, and this is going to impact me in a huge way. Yeah, being the star of a reality show will do that. Has your idea of what you thought you wanted for your future partner to look like changed? Because the age, I'm 66, so when I see my name and I see my age next to it, I'm like, that looks strange. Because it belies who I actually am. The spirit has no age. It's true. And also you can change. That's the key. It's not too late to change. The spirit has no age. This is the same guy who said he'd cut anybody over 60. So the spirit doesn't have any age, but Mel's heart does have an age apparently. His ability to have romantic connections with people does have an age. But then he follows this up with like, and you could change. That's the key. It's not too late to change. So I bet the producers hammered into him, get that point across. People can change. People can change. People can change. And so here he's just kind of crowbarring it onto the end of this thing of like, I don't feel 66. Also, people can change. What would you say to viewers who have said they won't watch their season? Which, by the way, is the most DMs I've ever gotten with that sentiment is about this season. I've spent a lot of time reading comments, and the consensus is a lot of people don't want to watch a show where the lead doesn't appreciate women over a certain age or are afraid that you're not being genuine throughout the process. Well, if you don't tune in, you'll never know. So you've got to tune in. This guy, and again, I'm trying to earn it back, and I bet there's going to be something about being able to change in this paragraph. Watch the show and see if I earn it back, because I apologized on night one. Again, I bet that's in the inauguration speech. You have to be earnest in your work to get the trust back. Everybody there is smart, and they can see through you if you're lying or you don't mean what you say. That's why I say tune in. Hopefully, the show will show the women that are there, that are in their golden years, that are doing these amazing things. It's inspirational, very much so. Women are amazing. So are you hopeful that you found your life partner already from this? Do you think your person could be in this group? Yeah, could be. There's some wonderful women. They're amazing. There are 5 right now that I really connect with, and I got to find out that they're connecting with me. That's the important part. So my partner could be there. Last night was a rose ceremony, and you have to make some tough decisions. You don't want to see them go because you know their stories. It hurts. I didn't think it would hurt. It hurts. But it's been such a great experience. It's life-altering for me. I had dinner with Jesse Palmer before the filming began. I go, hey, would you do it over again? And he goes, 20 out of 20. If someone were to ask me, I'd go 20 out of 20. It's that good, and I've learned a lot. Jesse Palmer's married. Good, because in addition to finding love, it's about hopefully becoming a better, more well-rounded, open-minded person. Oh, for sure, for sure. I welcome it. I'm trying to earn back the trust. He said earn back the trust 200 times in this interview. And the women got me good on the roast. Okay, so he's like, look, they did a roast. All is forgiven. I'm earning back trust. People can change. They got me good on the roast. Some were so hurt, they went, hey, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm good. I'm good. I deserved it. It was funny too and very creative. I do think people love to give second chances and to be open-minded, but you have to own it first. Those opinions and comments were a mistake by me. It's unfair. It's insensitive. Like I said, and I want to earn it back. He keeps saying that. I have to earn it back every single moment that I'm on the show. And that is it. This interview has been edited for length and clarity. There is Jessica Radloff, the senior West Coast editor at Glamour. Wow. Well, what to make of this, ladies and gentlemen? What to make of this? The Golden Bachelor's Mel Owens knows Bachelor Nation is angry. I deserved it. What to make of this? What to make of this? I don't think this is going to work. I get what this is like. The Bachelor's MO. This is their very common strategy. Like I said, they did this exact same thing before Jen Tran's season aired, where they sent the 2 executive producers of the franchise to the LA Times to do a huge interview admitting we have done wrong. We are now changing. Let us earn it back. They probably even said earn it back in that exact article. I don't know if they did or not, but it would make sense. But that article was all about them admitting basically that they have failed to have the backs of the leads, especially leads of color, for many seasons prior to this, and they assured us that Jen Tran's season would be different. They gave that interview after Jen Tran's season had been shot. They knew how it ended, and they still put those lies in print in the LA Times. This to me seems very much like that. They're sending him out to try and do this kind of preseason damage control because of the things he said on this podcast, being antithetical to the entire premise of the Golden Bachelor. I don't know if he did that in this article. From what I read, it was him saying, earn it back a bunch. People can change a bunch. The apology seemed insincere. He pinned a lot of like the kind of like all is forgiven on this roast date that they did. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the season is going to have a high viewership. I think my prediction is it will be the worst rated Bachelor product in the history of the show. And then coming off of that, we will be going into Bachelor Season 30, Scott Teddy's first main game stewardship. And we now know that the casting for that season is going to be a Bachelor we have never seen before. It's not somebody from the franchise. It's a hard reset, if you will. I don't know if that's going to work in the face of shows like Love Island, who are casting mega influencers, essentially. The Harry Jowsey Bachelor show that's going to be coming out in 2026, produced by Call Her Daddy's Alex Cooper for Netflix. I just don't know. All the decisions the Bachelor franchise is seeming to make are wrong, in my opinion, including keeping Mel Owens as the Golden Bachelor for this season 2, instead of going back to, any of the Goldens that are currently on Paradise. Why not use one of them? The Golden Guys, I mean. I think that them trying to the damage has been done. This article, I think, does nothing to bring somebody back to the show. to be, if somebody's already made the decision because of what he said on that podcast, I'm not watching this season. I don't believe this Glamour article is going to change one of those people's minds. I will, of course, be watching it. Lizzie will, of course, be watching it, because we will watch everything The Bachelor ever makes. And I find it fascinating just to kind of like track the story of the franchise itself. And this is a big part of, I think, the final days of the franchise. These horrible creative decisions to like keep Mel Owens as the Golden Bachelor after he says these things, and then to send him out with this kind of like rudimentary answer to the big question of like, why are you still the Golden Bachelor? It's like, oh, give me a chance. People could change and gonna earn it back. And it just doesn't work, in my opinion. I will be very curious to see his apology in that inauguration speech on night one. I can only assume it won't be sincere, but if the words are there in the document, it's like the show, the franchise at large, maybe feels it has done its due diligence. We've had him say the apology. Isn't that good enough? Now on with the show. Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe the most interesting thing about this Glamour article is that it is the show acknowledging he said these things and acknowledging that he needs to somehow make amends. Again, did he do that in this article? I don't personally feel like he did, but at least the show is like sending him out to address it. And that's at least a step in the right direction. We will have to wait and see how Golden Bachelor Season 2 actually performs. Again, my prediction, not very well at all. But it's right around the corner. It's coming right up next month. We hope you'll join us for all of it. Pace Case and I will be recapping every single episode of Golden Bachelor. And so if you don't want to watch it, you can listen to our show, and we will tell you exactly what happens in all of it and give our analysis. Thank you for joining me in these dark days in the Bachelor franchise.